Ladies and gentlemen, what we are witnessing in Canada today is truly the example of historical tyrannies forming that we have studied and observed throughout human history. And to put things simply here, it always plays out in a three-step method of oppression. The act of censorship, which is, of course, the silencing of a voice, the stopping the ability to freely communicate. And you could also say that's part of the financial attack, freezing the bank accounts, censoring you from being able to participate in the economy. Then there's the imprisonment. Well, that's the level that they're at in Canada now, as Trudeau has effectively declared martial law. They've basically just rewritten the law, and now they just say it's illegal to be a part of a trucker convoy. It's illegal to stand in downtown Ottawa. It's illegal to park your car. It's illegal to honk your horn. So, we're not declaring martial law. We just wrote a dozen new laws to make it impossible for our political opposition to exist. And so we're going to be going live to footage on the ground in Ottawa as the police are moving in, as they're beating people, arresting, just disappearing people, really. It's not even an arrest. There's no court date. There's no bail. There's no record. They're just gone, just like Trudeau wanted. So that's a big development. We're also set to have Biden speak. He was supposed to be on stage 2 minutes ago, so I'm sure he'll be running late. They got to put a new diaper on him and, wipe the dribble from his lips and, inject him with something just to get him up. So what is Biden going to declare? War on Russia while all this is going on in Canada, to distract from that and distract from his failed policies? So yes, this is what we're going to be monitoring here on the War Room. We've got Biden to address the Russia-Ukraine situation, where Western intelligence networks and media are they just can't wait for a war. They just want a war so bad. They just want that war. And it's funny because you listen to Biden and Blinken, and what do they say? It's almost surreal, where Blinken lays out all their false flag operations and then says Russia does this. So first it was false flags don't exist. Then it was, here's all the false flag operations that we run. Fake chemical attacks, fake bombings, all that good stuff. And then they say, but it's Russia that does all that. They're doing it right now. And then the standoff between police and peaceful protesters in Ottawa, the two things we're going to be monitoring. Plus, I do have other news and a guest coming on today that I'm going to relay out when we kick off the show here in 2 minutes. But it all really comes down to this right here. This is the point we're at. I forgot to mention, I forgot to complete my thought. So first it's the censorship, then it's the imprisonment, and then you know what is next after that, right? There's a reason why the next one after that's the last one. There are no steps after that. You know why that is, right? Because you're gone. There's nothing more they can do once they kill you. All tyrannies rule through fraud and force, but once the fraud is exposed, they must rely exclusively on force. This is what you're seeing with the COVID mandates and the protests all around the world. We've been lied to by our media and our governments for a long time. We're finally aware of it. They've been exposed as the liars that they are. So now here comes the force. You're seeing it in Australia. You're seeing it in Canada, folks. This is the world tyranny that we're all facing. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday, February 18th, 2022. This is the InfoWars War Room, brought to you by InfoWarsStore.com, streaming live at band.video. I'm your host, Owen Shroyer, with you for the next 3 hours. We've got one guest today, Dr. Daniel Nagays, who knows all too well about what's going on in Canada. He's been a political prisoner up there for speaking out against COVID. And he joins us in the second hour as we live monitor the events going on in the streets of Ottawa right now with the police moving in on peaceful protesters, Trudeau's martial law in effect, and then Biden is set to speak publicly and give I guess you could call it a national address or a press conference. These things with Biden are a little wishy-washy. You're not really sure what you're going to get. And it's usually in a fake White House studio set. But he's supposed to address the nation on the Russia-Ukraine situation any minute now. In fact, that was supposed to kick off about 8 minutes ago, so he's running late. No surprise there. What fresh set of lies are they going to tell us in an attempt to get into World War III? Because that's what's going to happen here. And I guess the political elite don't really care. They figure, we don't have to go to war. We'll be making money. Our stock prices will do well. We'll distract from all of our crimes. And so, a little war, a little more death, probably a good thing for the planet. But see, the rest of the planet, the rest of the world, the rest of the leaders of these countries around the world, they're done with all the Western warmongering, war hawking, false flagging, proxy warring. And so it's not going to be your normal run-of-the-mill military industrial complex smooth operations. There's actually going to be an axis of power that aligns against it. And right now it looks like it's Russia, China, and Iran. That's the way the dominoes are falling. And so it was really just a matter of time. Western elites have been so out of control. American politicians have been so out of control. And there's just been nothing to check them because the U.S. people are so distracted. They're distracted with plastic boobs and butts and Super Bowl and ball games. So now we've got our neighbors to the north in full martial law, people getting arrested and beaten in the streets of Ottawa. And you've got the military-industrial complex stewing up another war to enrich themselves, kill innocent people, and drag us further into debt and moral degradation. And it really just all comes down to this quote from George Orwell. All tyrannies rule through fraud and force, but once the fraud is exposed, they must rely exclusively on force. Now, I've got a bunch of video clips here from Ottawa that I want to play. We are going to be monitoring for Biden to go on stage and speak at any given moment. And, I realized something because I'll go to band.video and just binge on all the content that we have there now. And I'm watching the Bound Report that you may have seen. And I'm listening to Biden speak, and I realized something that, because Biden is such a joke, and because he's such a snore and such a bore and such a theft and a con man and just, I mean, we really don't even pay attention to what Biden says or does. And he doesn't say or do much. But like when you actually go listen to these Biden speeches, it's really amazing. I mean, the guy can't talk. He literally cannot talk. And he just says unbelievable things. And you're just like, wait a second. How did I miss this? How is nobody picking up on this? Is nobody watching Biden anymore? And I think that's really what it comes down to. Nobody's paying attention to this guy. Like myself included, like I look at that and I'm like, wow, that's actually been a big blind spot. How is that a blind spot? He's supposedly the president. How is that a blind spot? That's the intention. He's such a joke. He's so clearly a puppet. He's such a con man. He's such a fraud. He's such a liar. He's such yesterday's news that nobody even pays attention to what he does and what he says. And then every once in a while, you'll see like a clip reel or a highlight reel or a clip of what he talks about. And you're just like, oh my, holy, he can't even talk. And then when he is able to communicate an idea, it's like, what? Did he really just mean that? Like the other day, he brags about putting a dead dog on a woman's front porch. Remember that one? Just 2 days ago. That's right. Like that's the kind of crap you're getting when this guy speaks. And it's just like nobody even has any interest anymore. 81 million votes, though. So we've got that. We now have an official announcement, and we'll see how this develops and goes down, of a freedom convoy in America that starts in Los Angeles and makes its way across the fruited plains into D.C. with multiple frequent stops on the way. So we'll cover that. I've got all the headlines here, the Western media just clamoring and begging for some sort of a war with Russia or Ukraine or who knows. They just want war. I mean, they don't have to explain it. They don't have to have it make sense. They don't have to give you any good reason. Hey, you've got total martial law happening just to your north. And hey, you got a wide open border and an invasion happening just to the south. But yeah, look over here at Ukraine. Look at Russia. Look at Putin. Oh, it's okay. We just let 5 million illegal immigrants into your country in the last calendar year, and another 176,000 on record just crossed in January that we even apprehended. And we really have no plan for them other than to just make them citizens with amnesty and so that they can vote us into a one-party system of Democrat Party tyranny. But forget about all that. Forget about the record crime rates in inner cities. Forget about the record low IQs of high school students. Forget about your own tyrannies that you're dealing with here in your country. Forget about the poison in the water. Forget about all the heart problems and the vaccine side effects. Forget about the inflation and the supply chain issues. Forget about that. Look over here, shiny object, Ukraine. Ukraine and Russia. What do you think about this? You want a little Ukraine and Russia? Yeah? How about a little Ukraine and Russia? What's that record homicide rates in U.S. cities? No. What's that record low IQ amongst high school graduates? No. Come on. What's that martial law in Canada? No. What you say? You say an invasion at the southern border? Millions of illegal immigrants coming here? We're paying for all of it? A lot of them criminals? No. I want you to pay attention to Ukraine. That's what we want. We want you to really worry about Ukraine and the future of Ukraine and the border of Ukraine and Russia and how Putin is the bad guy. That's what we want you to be worried about. That's the real story. And yeah, we're probably going to lie you into another war, and you're about to get the old codger, pervert Biden up there telling you all about it. Everything's fine. Everything is going just fine. No, folks, in case you didn't know it before, it's pretty obvious now. You are in a one world government tyranny that is really starting to flex its muscles and implement its power. and the people of the planet are rising up, and you see how the Trudeaus of the planet are crushing them. Honestly, there's so much happening right now. It's just, your head is spinning. You've got a Facebook Meta manager who's caught on tape thinking he's about to meet a teenage boy in a hotel room, I guess for some jollies. I mean, pile that on to the CNN stories with the producers trying to pull a new Epstein Island in a ski lodge up north, and then the other firings of the producers, and then the Cuomo brothers. I was actually thinking about this, and that's the problem is, see, people always call in, and I understand the frustration because I'm the same way. I'm just like you. I probably want what you want. And people say, hey, you need to do more comedy stuff, some more entertainment stuff. And we try to implement some of that, and I do some of that every once in a while. But like, that's the thing is, I'm thinking about this potential comedy project, and it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, you're in the New World Order trying to fight it with the mainstream media that's trying to start World War III. So it just becomes, it's like, I can't even look at this and then try to do a comedy sketch. And now here I am on air, and I can't even focus because it's like, well, what do I cover? Do I cover the president about to come out and announce that they want to start a World War III? Do I go live on the streets to Ottawa? Do I talk about this guy that works at big tech that censors me, that tries to lure kids to a hotel room? Hey, they're freezing all the Canadians' bank accounts right now, but Jeffrey Epstein's bank account was never frozen. They're announcing they're going to go after your cryptocurrency. I've got men in pools with women swimming, breaking every record ever, and it's like, oh, so brave. It's a man swimming with women, damn it. You're a joke. You're a damn fool for letting this happen. We're all fools for letting this clown world take over, and I've got all these stacks of news. So let's just do this, though. Let's go live on the scenes to Ottawa, and let me just gather my thoughts, because I got all these video clips I need to play. Let's go live to the streets of Ottawa. We're going to continue to monitor the White House press conference. Maybe Biden slipped and fell or crapped himself or something, and so they're taking a minute here. He's 20 minutes plus late. Kind of a big address. These are the ones you're usually on time for when you're about to announce how you want to start a war. He's late. So let's just go live on the streets to Ottawa where police are beating people, busting into their cars, busting into their trucks, arresting them, just disappearing them. No court date, no bail cell, nothing. Let's go live on the scenes to Ottawa. This is all developing.
That's one of the main reasons that they had to ship in these guys. See all these brown jackets?
Yeah.
You can see they've got the fleur-de-lis on the insignia.
Oh wow, they're like pushing people back right now over the blockade.
So you can't really see it.
Yeah, it looks like riot police.
But yeah, all these brown jacket guys are from Quebec. And then these guys here, these are all like more local RCMP guys.
Yeah.
I've seen these guys all week, right?
But these are the ones they just shipped in.
So guys, pull the volume down to just a minimal for me here so I can just give a little context. So there's still thousands, if not tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people out there on the streets. And there's different police forces and blockades kind of pushing them around, moving them into different circles or areas. They're trying to clear the entire Capitol area. They've already cleared most of the Capitol Hill. They are now building walls to keep people out. So in many ways, this is like a repeat of what we saw on January 6th. So they're going to ban anybody from being anywhere near the Capitol, and then they're going to build giant walls to stop the people from being there.
If those charges actually stick, because right now it's all about just removing the blockade and getting everyone out of here. Like I said, for every one arrest, they're hoping that 10 people get scared and leave. You know, that's why they brought in the LRAD cannon. That's why they've got all these snipers. That's why
Do you think they're gonna? I saw like one guy with a mask on, but all the other cops don't seem to have masks on. Do you think they're gonna use any gas?
That's the reason that they're using this really slow, impending movement.
Yeah.
Because that's their way of guaranteeing that they're gonna push us all out without having to use actual force, like actual guns, because they can't do that.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no justification for them to use that excessive force or those weapons, and so that's why they're doing this tactic.
Oh wow! Holy shit! Holy shit!
See, look what I said. They're gonna push in on the wings, and then
And then they're gonna come in the middle. Wow, That seemed pretty aggressive. Holy shit, they're like...
All right, we're going to have to pull away from this. This is a live stream, and so there's been some cursing there. We had to dump that for our radio audience. Let's go to some of the archive footage that we have now. Here is in clip 5. Let's just start going down these guys. Clip 5, Ottawa police advancing on protesters and thrusting their guns into their bodies. Have this line of police, just a huge line of police, forcing you back, pushing you back, threatening you, arresting random people. There they go. One disappears into the gang of police. And there he gets slammed with the butt of a rifle. Bust his face wide open. Just beat his ass. That's what it is. The police just advance forward. Every once in a while, someone disappears into the police. You look over the police line, and then you see them getting their ass kicked. By the way, where's the anti-police state left? Where's the anti-police left? Where's the anti-martial law liberals? Where are y'all anyway? I guess you guys like watching this. Let's go to clip 6. Again, just more footage. Police arresting the peaceful protesters.
Disgusting! Disgusting! Oh my God!
Yeah, martial law is pretty shocking. Yeah, beat that old man that's standing down, putting his hands in the air. Shove his face into the snow. Punch him. Put the butt of your rifle in his nose. I can't believe I'm witnessing this. All over the fake emergency of COVID. Or even if it is emergency, the government overreach. I mean, it's just speechless. Let's just keep going. Here's police breaking into protesters' vehicles and trucks, smashing in the windows, dragging anybody out of the vehicles. Clip 7. Takes an axe, busts into this mobile home, busts into the windows. Yeah, we're going to destroy your property. We'll drag you out of there, too. Oh, my gosh. That truck says Liberty on it. Smash out the windows, slash the tires. Drag anyone out of there. We'll get these terrorists. We're the good guys. Here we are in clip 8. Officers beat a man who's already wounded and begging for mercy on the ground. They beat him and they shout, "We're just following orders like Nazis," here in clip 8. Beating him on the ground. You know, it's an interesting position to be in here, isn't it? Where the bad guys have a monopoly on violence, and it's clear they're the bad guys. And there's just, I mean, what do you do? Shocking stuff. We'll be right back. More live coverage.
You're looking at InfoWars' newest designer t-shirt. It's the presidential emoji shirt. And it's got all 46 presidents going back to the founding of this nation with George Washington. And it ends up with Obama, Trump, and Biden. And of course, Biden is a clown. Trump's wearing the sunglasses, and we know that Barack Obama is not a good friend of America. This shirt is very thought-provoking. It'll cause a lot of conversations, and it's a great way to wake people up. It also makes a great gift. You're not just giving someone the gift of a fun t-shirt when you give them this, you're also funding the information war. And there are dozens and dozens and dozens of new t-shirts that we've designed in the last 6 months that are now available at InfoWarsStore.com. And when you purchase the shirt, you're giving yourself the gift of waking up the world and living in a free society. So get one for yourself and give one as a gift. All of it is a 360 win, and it keeps us on the air while the Democrats and the deep state and the Davos group and Klaus Schwab and the globalists are fighting around the clock to shut us down because they can't succeed if we stay on the air. And of course, we have a whole line of amazing 1776 shirts in short sleeve and long sleeve. And then, of course, there's one of my favorites, the Vaccine Passport t-shirt. This lets the globalists know you're not signing on to their mark of the beast, and you're fully aware of what they're doing, and you're educating other sheeple at the same time while funding the info war. A true 360 win. Get yours now with hundreds of other amazing t-shirts to choose from at InfoWarsStore.com. All of this art is original and it's incredibly thought-provoking, like this one. You've got one mouse asking the other mouse, are you going to take the vaccine? And he says, no way. They haven't even finished the human trials yet. These are the type of shirts you'll find exclusively at InfoWarsStore.com. Again, hundreds and hundreds of shirts to choose from, dozens and dozens of new shirts that we just produced in the last few months, and it funds the info war and it spreads the word, like this one, which is mainly for Texans, but other folks might want one. Most likely to secede. It's all available at InfoWarsStore.com, and it keeps us on air, and it exercises free speech in the public, something the left doesn't want. So again, thanks for keeping us on the air, and thanks for shopping at InfoWarsStore.com. I want to salute and thank you all for your support, and want to encourage you to go and get these t-shirts and other pieces of apparel and wear them openly, loudly, and proudly, and let the leftists know they're never going to silence us, they're never going to break our will, and we are going to take America and the world back.
All right, we're monitoring two ongoing situations right now. The martial law in Canada, where peaceful protesters in Ottawa are being rounded up and beaten and disappeared by Trudeau's thugs. Trudeau, a thug himself, a coward of a thug, though. He's not on the front lines engaging in this tyranny, no. He's barking orders from the ivory towers. But ladies and gentlemen, this is breaking just now. And this is literally all we have. And then there's some video out there, but it's not, there's not much to it. Powerful explosion hits another city in eastern Ukraine. So what is that? Is that Western-backed proxy armies? Is that Israeli-backed proxy groups just lighting off explosives in Ukraine to blame Russia? The false flag narrative that Biden and Blinken kind of went with, although they left all options on the table, was, oh, Russia's going to bomb itself and blame Ukraine. But I guess they figured that makes no sense at all. So they went ahead and probably ran in a proxy group to start blowing things up in Ukraine to then blame Russia and then pit the entire planet against Russia, which is not going to work. You see, these Western power brokers, the Western political elite, folks, are out of touch with reality and out of touch with this world. And they've gotten away with so much for so long, they really think they can just launch World War III and get away with it. It's not going to happen. Now, there might be some severe consequences for this, and a lot of innocent people are probably going to die, as usual, when Western intelligence agencies lie the U.S. into wars. But this kind of feels like it's going to be their last go at it. Kind of feels like this is their last run at it. This is their last stand. And other powers that be are just done. And Russia's a nuclear state. China's a nuclear state. Iran wants to be a nuclear state. And whatever you think about those countries, good or bad, whatever differences they may have will be set aside. And that's going to be how the new axis of power forms. And most people in America have no idea what's going on. And our intelligence communities keep lying to us about everything. 17 intel agencies, Trump colluded with Russia. Nothing. Same 17 intel communities say Russia wants to start a war. Putin says no. Belarus says no. Ukraine says no. And now, right as Biden is about to go speak, you've got these explosions going off in eastern Ukraine. How convenient. How convenient. As if no one's going to see through this. As if no one's going to know exactly who's up to what. But all the leftists, all the Democrats, all the liberal progressives, I shouldn't say all because actually the liberal progressives that did stand against Bush's wars and are true liberals, they don't want this. They see what's going on. They most likely voted for Trump. But see, there's the far left fringe and then the brainwashed masses that are under such mind control. There's no such thing as a double standard or a single standard to them. The standard is whatever they're told to believe, whatever they're told to do. So Russia bad, oh yes, Russia bad. Orange man bad, yes, orange man bad. Kids in cages bad when orange man, yes, kids in cages bad when orange man. More kids in cages good when Biden, though. And you can go on and on. We've got live footage still from Ottawa where police are slowly but surely just arresting as many people, just disappearing them, busting into their cars. Oh, you have a flag on your truck? We're going to break all the windows in your car. We're going to drag you out of there. They've already stole their food. They've already stole their money. They've already stole their gasoline and their wood, so they can't even heat themselves. Total martial law. And for what? And for what? So that a medical fascistic tyranny can be imposed and you can be forced to take a medical procedure, in this case, an experimental medical procedure. That's what this is all about. So millions of Canadians say, no, we don't want to be a part of a medical procedure experiment. We don't want to be mandated to do it. And Trudeau says, okay, well, fine. I'll send my police out there. I'll send my thugs. I'll send my goons. And we will beat you and we will arrest you until you comply with our medical fascism. And the left just loves it. The anti-fascistic left loves medical fascism. The anti-war left wants World War III with Russia and China and Iran. How do they even get police that are willing to do this? How are there even enough police in Canada that are willing to do this? How is that even possible? And what do you do in a situation like this where the bad guy is so clearly the bad guy, but yet they don't have any checks and balances? And the checks and balances are supposed to be the people, but they're in direct violation of what the people want. But see, you know, if we're being perfectly honest, and I'm a nonviolent person, so I'm guilty of this too. So I'm 100% guilty of what I'm about to say is, our biggest problem is that we're peaceful. That's our biggest problem. We don't want to fight. We don't want to burn buildings. We don't want to loot. We don't want to steal. We don't want to war with police. We don't want to war with each other. We don't want to mount up and get guns and go have a real, I mean, you want to see an insurrection? I mean, you know, we don't want any of that. We're peaceful people. I'm a peaceful guy. I don't want to fight. I don't want to be in a war. That's our problem. And then it's frustrating because we just live in reality and we see all the lies we're being told. I mean, do you remember, I think it was January 2020 or 2019, when a couple 100,000 people went to the capital of Virginia and they were all armed. I mean, those people were armed. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. If the American patriots wanted a violent insurrection or wanted a violent revolution, we could do it. We don't want it. It's the last thing we want. The Canadians don't want it. The Americans don't want it. We don't want this. We don't want a fight. We just want our lives back. We just want our futures back. We just want our freedoms back. But I guess that's what the tyrants just keep telling us. No, you're not going to get them back. But it was always there. You were born into the New World Order. You were born into this slavery. But as it was said by George Orwell, all tyrannies rule through fraud and force, But once the fraud is exposed, they must exclusively rely on force. That's what we're in the process of now. You've been in a tyranny. You've been ruled over by fraud and force. But now we're aware of the fraud. And so now it's just force. How is this going to play out? You know, I've got spidey senses tingling, man. I think that this weekend is going to be, I mean, it's almost like, hey, take your deep breath, you know, and enjoy the sun, enjoy the family, enjoy your freedoms. And then I got a feeling next week is just going to be buck wild. I mean, the New World Order, the true global terrorist syndicate, the New World Order, the Great Reset. I mean, folks, you understand they've played their hand. They've showed their hand. They're not relinquishing. You're under COVID tyranny. You're under medical fascism. You're under one world government. You're under big tech censorship. It's done. They're telling you that. That's what this represents in Canada. Doesn't matter. None of the people support Trudeau. Doesn't matter. None of the people want these mandates. They're dictators now. They're tyrants now. They rule you now. Will Biden be speaking soon? He's almost an hour late. Well, I'm just as stunned as you are, while not stunned at the same time, because I know the planet I live on. I knew that this was always going to be the case. But we're watching full Trudeau martial law in Ottawa. And the Ottawa police are now threatening to take protesters' children away from them. I mean, this is serious business, folks. And then meanwhile, we're being distracted by the shiny object of war in Russia and Ukraine, which has so many different angles to it. The distraction from the incompetence and the failures of Biden, the inflation, the supply chain, they can just blame it all on Russia. A lot of these politicians and DC elite, people in the government, they've got stock in Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and Boeing, so they like wars. They get to enrich themselves. There's also the globalist agenda to conquer or destroy Russia, because Russia doesn't want to be a part of the globalist New World Order. That's why they hate Putin so much. So there's all these different facets, none of which help the United States of America, all of which we're going to pay for, all of which we're going to have to deal with. So you see, here's what China has done strategically in the last 20, 30, 40 years. China recognized two things. China recognized the global market, and China recognized that Western elites were total crooks and sellouts. So what did China do? Well, China said, hey, we'll embrace the one world government. We'll embrace a one world economy, a one world market. We'll embrace that. When the World Economic Forum people would go to China and meet with China's leaders and meet with Xi Jinping, China had said, okay, yeah. And believe me, I'm not speaking positively of China's leadership here. I'm just telling you what happened. So China's leadership said, okay, we'll accept the global market, the global economy, and everything else, but you're going to base it off of our system and infrastructure. And the globalists said, absolutely. We like the technotronic tyranny that you have. We like the clamp down on freedoms and everything you have here. We'll use your place as a testing ground. You roll it out, you lay it out, and we'll adopt that. So China says internally, okay, well, we'll go into your one world government. We're going to strategically place ourselves logistically at the top of it, and there's nothing you can really do about that. So, okay, so they want to use China's system of tyranny to bring out to the world. And then China which had the largest population 10 years ago, now I think it's second largest behind India, said, well, we'll just have ourselves strategically in an advantage point by having 99% of the rare earth minerals. So now China can actually bargain with the New World Order as they're logistically in a bargaining position where all the New World Order agents that have been corrupting all these other countries have no bargaining power. And that's why you see Canada falling. That's why parts of America have fallen that are run by Democrats. That's why you see parts of Europe and everything, because the deal was already made. You're going into a one world government. We're going to be in charge of rolling it out. COVID was the tool that initiated all of this. So the people, realizing this was the case, said, wait a second, we don't want to be a part of a world government. We're not going to be a part of this at all. So now they've got their problem. And it was in 2010, a Rockefeller document, Operation Lockstep. It was in 2010, and then it was in 2016 and I think 17 with the Bilderberg Group, where they said, we're going to launch our world takeover. We're going to use a virus to do it. We're going to use medical tyranny to be the rollout of the execution of powers. And the debate was, what do you do with the inevitable uprising? What do you do with the proletariat class? And they wrote it all out in their documents. You label them as criminals. You build the case that they're the criminals. Then you label them as terrorists. Then you arrest them, disappear them, censor them, take their bank accounts. All of this pre-planned. And you're just witnessing it now. You're living in it now. So we're continuing to monitor the situation here. That's a live feed from Ottawa there on the screen. By the way, Biden now almost an hour late. Biden was supposed to be addressing the nation on the Ukraine-Russia situation 53 minutes ago. Still hasn't taken the podium. And this isn't like one of those, oh, it's a press conference, whatever, he could be a little late. This was supposed to be a serious address about a potential world war situation, and Biden is late. So we're picking up live streams of that. They still have not gone live to Biden. Who knows? Maybe he's had a serious problem, and they're having to bring in a hose to hose him down and get the new trousers on. So here's the headlines, though, really just pushing the war with Russia. Again, there was an explosion there about an hour or so ago, right when Biden was about to speak. How convenient. U.S. concerned about Zelensky's trip to Munich. Zelensky says, hey, I'm fine. U.S. says, no, you need to be worried. Russia's Ukraine threat and worries on Fed rate hikes could make for a turbulent week in markets. Oh, yeah. What are they going to do? So either the stock market's going to crash, they'll seize your cryptocurrencies, and then they'll just blame Russia. I mean, now you're entering inflation levels that haven't been seen in 60 years. Real-time inflation has been adjusted to about 10% since Biden has taken office. So that's a year. So one year, 10%. Imagine 4 years. That's 40%, people. That's hyperinflation. They'll blame Russia. Biden plans to spend his first weekend in D.C. amid the Russia situation. Hasn't spent a single weekend in D.C. all year. He vacations every single weekend. He's working so hard. Biden vacations every single weekend. He's planning on this being the first weekend he's in D.C. to handle the Russia situation, as if he's handling anything. He can't even make it on time. Okay, let's interrupt right now. Biden has just taken the podium an hour late, discussing how badly the people that control him want war with Russia. Here it is.
To bring them up to date on what the United States thinks is the current state of affairs and what's likely to happen in Ukraine in the coming days, to ensure that we continue to remain in lockstep, that is, the European Union and NATO.
What did we just say?
Despite Russia's efforts to divide us at home and abroad, I can affirm that has not happened. The overwhelming message of on both calls was one of unity, determination, and resolve. I shared with all of those on the calls what we know about a rapidly escalating crisis in Ukraine. Over the last few days, we've seen reports of a major uptick in violations of the ceasefire by Russian-backed fighters attempting to provoke Ukraine and the Donbass. For example, a shelling of a Ukrainian kindergarten yesterday, which Russia has falsely asserted was carried out by Ukraine. We also continue to see more and more disinformation being pushed out to the Russian public, including Russian-backed separatists, claiming that Ukraine is planning to launch a massive offensive attack in the Donbass.
Folks, this is unbelievable. Everything he's saying is what they're doing.
It defies basic logic to believe the Ukrainians would choose this moment with well over 150,000 troops arrayed on its borders to escalate a year-long conflict.
Same with Russia.
Russia's state media also continues to make phony allegations of a genocide taking place in the Donbass and push fabricated claims warning about Ukraine's attack on Russia without any evidence. That's just what I'm sure Ukraine's thinking of doing, attacking Russia.
What?
All of these
what is he even talking about?
The playbook the Russians have used before.
Oh my God.
To set up a false justification to act against Ukraine. This is
unbelievable. All right, guys, folks, this is unbelievable. Everything he's saying is what we've done over the years. No, I'm just at a loss. I was explaining yesterday how none of this even makes sense that they were arguing, and now he's up here saying this doesn't make sense what we were just arguing 2 days ago.
I've been on air more than 25 years. And long before I started selling high-quality vitamin D3 8 years ago, I've been promoting people taking vitamin D3 because it is essential. And if you're not getting sunshine every single day, whether you're black or white or Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Your body will be susceptible and wide open to so many of the threats that are out there. It's just like you need oxygen. You die in 4 minutes without oxygen. You die in 5 or 6 days without water. You die in a month without food. Well, that's because these key minerals and elements and vitamins are in the food that you need. And one of the most important for your immune system and your overall health is vitamin D3. We have the highest quality in winter sun with vitamin K that boost all your body's defenses, available right now for 50% off at InfoWarsStore.com. Everybody, old, young, black, white, you need vitamin D3. This is the best quality out there, and it funds the InfoWar, 50% off.
All right, Biden is slurring and dribbling his way through a speech, flipping through empty pages on his desk. This is just unbelievable. By the way, whoever dresses Biden is making jokes with him. Every time he has a serious address about war like this, they put on a goofy tie that messes up the camera lens. It's done intentionally, folks. This whole thing is just a joke. Biden is just a joke. They probably have been wiping his butt for the last hour. Let's go back to the con artist in chief, Joe Biden.
Transatlantic community is united. Our political parties in this country are united. The entire free world is united. Russia has a choice between war and all the suffering it will bring, or diplomacy that will make a future safer for everyone.
This is
I'm
sick.
happy to take a few questions.
Diplomacy?
Nancy from Bloomberg.
And he looks down at his list for approved questions.
President Zelensky to leave Ukraine if an invasion is as imminent as the U.S. says it is?
That's a judgment for him to make and a determination as to whether or not. I've spoken with Zelensky a dozen times, maybe more, I don't know. And it's in the pursuit of a diplomatic solution, it may not be it may be the wise choice, but it's his decision.
And do you have any indication about whether President Putin has made a decision on whether to invade? Do you feel confident that he hasn't made that decision already?
As of this moment, I'm convinced he's made the decision. We have reason to believe that.
There seems to be a unanimity of spirit to do between the United States and Europe to do some sanctions, the comprehensive sanctions. But is everyone on board with the exact same sanctions that you want to do?
Yes. There will be some slight differences, but none. There'll be more add-ons than subtractions.
He gave the Russians the Nord Stream 2 pipeline.
Going to oversee some nuclear drills this weekend. How do you see that happening? What's your reaction?
Everyone in the room wearing a mask except Biden.
Well, I don't think he is remotely contemplating using nuclear weapons. But I do think I think he is focused on trying to convince the world that he has the ability to change the dynamics in Europe in a way that he cannot. But I don't.
Where is Putin doing that?
How much of it is a cover for just saying we're just doing exercises, and there's more than that? I just can't. It's hard to read his mind.
So in other words, he has no idea. They're just lying about Putin and making things up.
To be clear,
I'll take from
you are convinced that President Putin is going to invade Ukraine. Is that what you just said a few moments
Yes,
ago?
I did. Yes.
So is diplomacy off the table then?
No. Until he does, diplomacy is always a possibility.
What reason do you have to believe he's considering that option at all?
We have a significant intelligence capability. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Oh, the U.S. intelligence that said Trump colluded with Russia? That U.S. intelligence? The U.S. intelligence that said there were weapons of mass destruction? The U.S. intelligence that said a ship was sunk in the Gulf of Tonkin? So there's Joe Biden. 10 minutes, folks. 10 minutes. He comes out to address the nation. NATO and Western-backed proxies in Ukraine are trying to start World War III with Russia, and Biden shows up an hour late and gives 10 minutes of a speech, taking 3 questions from the press. And I've got a guest coming up, and I was sitting here thinking, I was like, okay, well, we may have to push the guest back because Biden's obviously going to be speaking for an hour or two. This is so serious. 10 minutes. Oh, man, I'm telling you, man, we are just, we need to pray. We need to pray big time, man. We are dealing with such evil people that are about to start a war, even though everyone is about to witness them doing it as they're lying about it. I mean, this is unprecedented stuff here. I mean, we've now crossed the threshold where tyrants kind of like to be unknown and unnoticed and operate in the shadows. They're coming out, folks. They're big. They're bold. They're announcing. They're conquering this planet. They're starting World War III. We've been monitoring the scenes in Ottawa. We just heard Biden give a 10-minute speech. Really, it was about a 5-minute speech, and then 3 questions from the media. They're about to try to start a World War III potential situation with Russia, and Biden gives you 10 minutes of his precious time. And then they get up there blinking all week, and now Biden. Everything that they have done, and that's the compromised elements of our military, that's the proxy groups that the CIA has been running for decades in the Middle East and in the regions of Western Russia. They have the proxy wars. They launch the false flags. They lie about events to get us into wars. And now they're pointing the finger. First they said that doesn't even exist. Now they're pointing the finger saying that's what Russia does. Here's what's so hard about this situation. And you know, I need to plug and I can't even plug. And we got a big guest coming on. But it's like, here's what's so sad about this situation is we're in a position here as Americans where our leadership does not have the moral high ground. Not even close. And so when you see our corrupt, demonic, lying leaders like Joe Biden wanting to start a war with Russia, I mean, like what? I'm just at a loss because I just can't even deal. We got a great guest coming up here. He knows too well what's happening in Canada. Dr. Daniel Nagase. He's been disappeared by Trudeau's thugs already. He was able to escape. He's about to join us. As I said, folks, I haven't even plugged today, just trying to cover all this news. It's been so epic with everything that's breaking. But we need to be on air to break it, and we need to be on air to cover it so that we can get the great guests on, like Dr. Nagays, who's coming up in just a minute. InfoWarsStore.com. Ladies and gentlemen, as every day before the show goes on air, I take Brain Force Plus for extra focus, optimal brain operations, or Brain Force Ultra, which is the liquid version. It's even more powerful than the pill, quite frankly. But it's Brain Force Ultra, and it is on sale right now at InfoWarsStore.com at a discounted rate of 40% off. Winter Sun Plus back in stock, 50% off. Survival Shield X3 still 50% off at InfoWarsStore.com. Don't forget about the air filters, the water filters, the T-shirts, the hats, and everything else. Your support at InfoWarsStore.com is what makes everything we do here possible. All right. Man. We are now joined by Dr. Daniel Nagays. And Doctor, I was made aware of your story. I was covering, just going through some other alternative media here in America, where you have been outspoken, specifically concerned about numbers of stillbirths and miscarriages at hospitals post-vaccination. You started asking questions, and all of a sudden, you ended up in restraints. So tell the world, what happened to you when you started asking questions about stillbirth rates in hospitals post-vaccine?
Well, the health authorities that govern the hospitals here in British Columbia, Canada, they couldn't react fast enough to try and discredit the story. So the first thing they did was claim that the stillbirths happened in North Vancouver Hospital, which isn't a obstetric center. They do deliveries, but not high-risk deliveries. And that's an intentional misquote because we've always said, Dr. Mel Bruchet, who first heard about these 13 stillbirths, we've always said that this occurred in the Central Obstetric Hospital of Vancouver, which is called Women's Hospital. So the authorities couldn't say do enough to try and discredit. So then after that discrediting the 13 stillbirth story didn't work, and people started to be curious, like, what is the side effect of an untested, unproven genetic injection on a pregnant woman who has a developing genetic fetus, a baby inside her who is still undergoing development, the most critical part of development in life. And when they couldn't suppress the story that way, they actually went after Dr. Mel Bruchet, who was the first to break the story. And police showed up at his door and put him in a psychiatric institution. Now, while in the psychiatric institution, they gave Dr. Mel Bruchet, who's 81 years old, they gave him medications that are known to cause strokes in anyone over the age of 65. This is medical, premeditated murder. And this was happening at Lionsgate Hospital in North Vancouver, BC. They couldn't discredit the story through the usual media disinformation, so they had to get at the person who was the first to break the information, and that was Dr. Bruchet. Dr. Bruchet is sitting right beside me. He wanted me to mention it was called the Hope Center, the Hope Psychiatric Center in North Vancouver. Dr. Bruchet managed to escape. But in British Columbia, Canada, if you escape a psychiatric facility without the permission of the director of that facility, then you get a warrant for your recapture. So that's the situation as it stands right now. Dr. Bruchet and I are traveling from locale to locale, specifically to prevent Dr. Bruchet from being recaptured by the medical system and forcibly given medications that could cause his death.
So Dr. Bruchet and yourself are on the run from Trudeau's thugs. Let's get back to the origin of this, though, before we get focus on your treatment and now what's happening in Ottawa. So the stillbirths at the hospital rates, the miscarriage rates, the problems that we're seeing post-vaccine in births that these people don't want to report. What is the truth about that? What have you guys seen? What are the numbers that you're seeing that are shocking you?
So before there was a lockdown on the information coming out of hospitals, and obstetric staff were told not to speak about anything they saw, the word was in September, over a 24-hour period, that's 2 shifts of nurses, there were 13 stillbirths in a 24-hour period, and that's highly unusual, even for a specialty obstetric center that does high-risk deliveries all the time. Shortly after that report from the west coast of Canada, we had a report from Windsor, Canada, where the stillbirth rate went up by 800%. So there was, that was Waterloo, Canada. Dr. Boucher's here correcting me. So they had 86 stillbirths in a 6-month period. Normally there would be anywhere from 1, maybe 2 stillbirths on an unusual month. In modern obstetrics, modern pregnancy care, it's extremely unusual for a stillbirth to happen because pregnant patients, they get a lot of ultrasounds, they get a lot of prenatal care. So if there's something going wrong early in a pregnancy, most of the time, it's found out ahead of time. And it doesn't progress to the point where what we call a stillbirth is a mother goes into the hospital expecting to leave the hospital with a live new baby in her hands, and it turns out she delivers a fetus that's not alive. That's
so this is
unusual.
so this is an obvious anomaly that should be being addressed. Questions should be being asked, just like when you look at. And I don't know if Canada has a similar system, but we have the VAERS system here in the United States. It's a vaccine adverse reaction reporting database where we went from less than 1,000 adverse reaction deaths to vaccines to now over 20,000 a year. That's a clear statistical anomaly. Somebody should be investigating. Everybody that asks questions gets censored off the internet. By the way, Dr. Boucher is welcome to join you in the next segment. We're about to take a break, but if you guys want to get set, he's welcome to join you here as well. Dr. Nagay's with us. Just incredible stuff, folks. Questioning the stillbirths after the vaccine and then gets thrown into a mental institution. All right, we've now got 2 great doctors with us from Canada. They're literally on the run from Trudeau's thugs because they could get disappeared at any moment. Dr. Nagay's and Dr. Boucher now with us. You just heard the story of Dr. Boucher in the last segment, and he said, hey, he's here in the room with me. I said, well, let's get him on too. So I mean, Dr. Boucher, what has this experience been like for you? When you were seeing these stillbirth anomalies, did you think that you would ever end up being thrown into an institution and being on the run from your government? Or did you think, hey, I'm just trying to report something I'm witnessing here?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for including me on. I really appreciate it because without stations like you that are taking this globally and certainly into the States, our cause would not spread. And this has become a life aim for me, which started out by wanting to stop the vaccine of children. And then when they got into killing stillborns with the same lethal injection, I became a crusader and spoke out, and that's what got me where I am today. So thank you. It has really been pretty surreal. The contrast between reality and what the spin doctors are putting on it is unbelievably different. And there's only one side that has the science and the truth, and it's our side. And the politicians and the corrupt pharmaceutical and whatever. The amazing thing is that they've been able to get away with this.
Yeah, it's the criminality, the abject criminality. I mean, first to try and force an untested, unknown medication upon pregnant patients, and then when a stillbirth rate rises by 50%, there's all of a sudden a 50% increase in stillbirths. That's an emergency. You should have investigators crawling around the city, checking the water, checking the nuclear plant, seeing if there was a nuclear radiation leak that they never told anyone about. You know, they should be checking the air, checking everything, but nothing. Absolute silence. Health Canada hasn't done anything. No one's checked the water. And then when you have a stillbirth, an 800% increase in stillbirths in 2 different parts of the country, separated by thousands of miles, that should have been 6 months ago an immediate halt to all injections, all of these mRNA injections.
Right. Well, that just tells me that they know it's the vaccines that are doing it, so they don't need to investigate. They know it's the vaccines. They just don't want to tell you. So then instead, they try to lock you up, throw away the key, and then when you won't be silenced, so they just try to give you a medicine that might kill you.
Well, the analogy between the corrupt pharma that produces antipsychotic drugs in record rates that have tremendous side effects is exactly the same as the pharmaceutical industries that develop the vaccine that are expensive and don't work and have terrible side effects. So it is, obviously, and we know about that, it is a worldwide attempt by the elitists to depopulate us. And when they start with the unborn pure innocence, what society does that? What society condones it and then suppresses the news? I mean,
people who are trying to fight for what's right. Yeah, the suppression, it's unbelievable, this collusion, right? And, you suffered a mini stroke after you started one of those antipsychotics while you were in hospital, because I remember talking to you on the phone, and you had very restricted phone access, and then your speech was slurred, you couldn't remember names, and then, they were trying to kill you.
That led us to suing the psych nurses that had been complicit in prescribing me this medication, and part of the forceful use of me taking it, whether it was by injection or threatening me to give an antipsychotic that is basically contraindicated.
So they would call an extra nurse. So they had extra security, for security. You're an 81-year-old man, and they would call thugs to your hospital room to force you to take the medication, knowing full well that the medication they were forcing you to take would cause you strokes. Because then it was one of the nurses who gave you the medication monograph.
And that's what I was saying at the start of this, and you described it as surreal. So you're just doing the right thing. You see the stillbirth rate. You think there needs to be questions asked, maybe an investigation. And then all of a sudden, you're the one getting arrested. You're the one getting disappeared. You're the one that they try to kill. I mean, how do you even, surreal is one way, but did you ever expect that? Did you expect them to come after you like that? Or was that kind of like a whole new awakening process of how evil the government currently is?
Awakening's right.
No, obviously, well, in the end, it had to happen, and I paid the price, and I think it was well worth what I went through to at least uncover this. And I am constantly greeted and praised and loved and prayed for on these tours. And when Daniel and I do a road show, that's our experience. I mean, when I escaped, I had barely clothes. I had no ID. I had no nothing. And on these tours, people are giving me everything apart from prayer. And it's just an uplifting experience. But you, of course, crash and burn when you see what our government and your government is doing to further this chaos. That's disheartening. So in the end, even though I was misdiagnosed and mistreated, and they made attempts to kill me, as I said, if I go out as a poster boy for that, that's a pretty way to go out. Pretty good way to go out. And
we really have to thank I have to say, we have to thank a greater power than us for all the safe houses, all the wonderful people we've met. And it seems like, just putting you into a psych hospital and trying to harm you, that has only made our message stronger. And I think that's a really important thing to say, just to have all the gratitude for all the people who've helped us along, who've donated their houses, helped to keep us out of the hospital.
And I think we also have to thank you again, because you raised the issue. You either did, and then you talked about VAERS, and we're definitely aware of VAERS, and we have our own version of VAERS. And when you see the information that is in there, that the pharmaceuticals have to admit, because the studies weren't even done. And then in surfaces like that, they also reveal that, there was no double-blind studies done.
All right, we got to take a break. Let's come back and let's talk about the lack of studies, and then let's also get an opinion from you guys on what's currently happening in Ottawa with the police just brutalizing people, arresting them.
So I did it. I signed up for the Austin Marathon. I've been training, probably not as much as I should be, but thank goodness for prayer and thank goodness for InfoWarsStore.com. Before I set out on a run, I throw down some Turbo Force to give me that energy I need to get going. Besides the energy, Turbo Force, it is giving me the vitamins I need, like vitamin C to keep me healthy, and the essential B vitamins, plus the amino acids for sustained energy, giving me the best chance at getting through the training. And then every day now, I'm taking Dr. Jones Soreless. I have bad joints, thanks Mom. So this is great for giving my joints the extra support they need right now, plus inflammation support and extra flexibility. The quick release capsules help me recover fast so I can get back to the training. Even if you're not crazy enough to take on a marathon, good news, Turbo Force, that can still give you the energy and clarity you need for every day, and Soreless can keep you moving and feeling great at any age.
All right, we've got two great doctors with us from Canada, Dr. Daniel Nagase and Dr. Mel Bruchet. It's a 2-for-1 today. It's been a great interview with them. I want to get into the VAERS system that they have in Canada and what they're getting as far as vaccine adverse reactions data on that front, and then also get their takes on what's happening today in Ottawa, where the police are continuing to move in on the peaceful protesters. I think there's been as many as 100 arrested. You've seen them bashing in windows, breaking into cars, threatening to take people's children. Really a sad state of affairs in Canada. But get into where we had to take a break in the last segment, Dr. Bruchet. What is the VAERS-like system in Canada, and what is that database telling us right now about the COVID vaccine?
Well, the VAERS system in Canada, it's really hard to report into. And I think they make it intentionally that way, that instead of something being suspected, like someone gets the second dose of vaccine and then 3 days later they suffer a stroke and die, it seems like the gatekeeping system in the Canadian version of VAERS tries to force the doctor or nurse making a report into trying to prove that the vaccine was the cause of that heart attack or stroke. And that's a lot harder to do than putting in a report that, yes, 72 hours or 2 weeks after the injection, something really strange happened to me when I had no previous health problems. They set the bar impossibly high in the Canadian version. So unfortunately, we don't even have access to what those data are. But I'm pretty sure that if you go by the reports, not just the approved reports, you'd probably see something very similar to what's going on in the United States.
So it's an experimental medical procedure. Yes, go ahead, Dr. Bruchet.
Well, I think one of the points is it's very hard to get public, very high quality data. And that's why I was so impressed by Thomas Renz and the information he got from the military version of VAERS that you have in the United States, where they showed a 300% increase in stillbirths and miscarriages amongst service women. So, being in the military itself is a higher stress job. So, of course, there's going to be higher rates of miscarriages to begin with, just from being in the military, the stress of being in the military, the intense physical rigors of being a service member.
Radiation exposure and everything.
Yeah, well, you get exposed to a lot of things, if you're dealing with depleted uranium munitions, you're getting a little bit more radiation than the average person does, chemicals, for example. And the thing is, so at the baseline, I don't have any exact number for this, but the baseline miscarriage and stillbirth rate for any service member is going to be higher than the average population to begin with, anywhere from maybe 1 to 2 times higher. So starting from a baseline that's already maybe 100% higher than the average population, then to have on top of that a 300% increase in stillbirths and miscarriages, I mean, that's absolutely criminal that the military brass know about this, were aware of this data, and still try to force military service members in your country to take this injection.
Oh, and now they've said that they've mysteriously lost the data. Oh, we don't know where the data went. Oh, yeah, well, too bad. We already have the data recorded, so you're not going to get away with that. It was presented in front of a hearing with senators and congressmen there and other doctors. So it's just amazing the boldness of all of it. But what we're seeing right now in Ottawa is the thugs that still work for Trudeau. I mean, I'm stunned that they can even get police to do this. How they can get a police officer to go out there and treat citizens like this is really stunning to me. I guess they're just following orders, as they say. But what are your guys' thoughts on the developments in Ottawa today, where peaceful protesters are getting round up, they're getting beaten, they're getting disappeared, they're threatening to take their kids, they're having their vehicles broken into, they're taking their food. Your guys' thoughts on these developments today?
This criminality you see from the law enforcement in Canada, it comes from a breakdown of community, a breakdown of philosophy, a breakdown of knowing who you are. You see these people wearing masks. They think that wearing masks makes them unaccountable for any crime that they do, right? But the thing is, if someone's wearing a mask, hiding their identity, look at this guy, he's wearing sunglasses, right? If they're hiding their identity and then committing crimes in uniform, that crime they commit stains everyone in uniform. The good people who are in law enforcement, they get smeared every time some law enforcement officer, this Ontario provincial police officer, commits a crime. And the thing is, it boils down to a personal choice. Because if a law enforcement officer thinks that by wearing ski goggles and a mask, he can get away with being a thug, well, he's wrong. His neighbor will find out that he's a law enforcement. And you know what? These people eventually, they're not going to sleep that well at night. Because you know what? Their bank manager knows where they live. Their bank manager knows that they're law enforcement. Their insurance agent knows that they're law enforcement. And if they're divorced, their spouse knows they're law enforcement. So every time a thug commits a crime that stains all law enforcement, they are painting a target on every other good law enforcement officer. And so where that comes to a head is when the good law enforcement officer looks at the person who is staining his reputation, ruining his image, ruining the integrity that he or she signed up to serve in the law enforcement services to do. The first people who are going to be turning around on these masked thugs are other police officers. So they better watch their backs. Because you know what? It's the other guy who says, you know what? I woke up this morning, I realized I still have a soul, and I don't want to do this job where there's blood on my hands. I'm going to turn in the guy who beat up that old man tomorrow. I'm going to file a police report. I'm going to draw the sword of justice with a pen and name the criminals amongst me who are wearing uniforms pretending to be like me. And that's how fascist structures collapse.
And I think that's why the former now former police chief of Ottawa, resigned. Maybe he didn't want to be a part of this. And he said, look, I'm not going to send my policemen in there to beat up citizens and harass them and bust into their cars and threaten to take their kids and pets. I'm not going to be a part of that. So they said, well, maybe it's time for you to resign. And so there he goes. And then within a week, now all of a sudden you're seeing the thuggish behavior from the police. It's really just stunning. The whole world should be watching this. The whole world should be outraged. The whole world should be concerned that this might come to their country. It's shocking to see this in Canada. Gentlemen, I know you guys are basically just kind of on the lam, very rogue. There's not much of a media presence, or you're not really leaving a trail, but any developments with you guys, or if the police come to arrest you again or try to throw you in jail again or try to kill you again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to keep tabs on your story, even though I know you guys kind of like to operate very low level. Anything else you guys want to add before we let you go?
Only thank you very much, Owen, for having us on. We really appreciate this.
And particularly the invitation for follow-up, because believe me, we will have news. It's changing every day, and he has so far, our brilliant Prime Minister has so far overreached and overreacted. I mean, we have situations where the Canadian vets are being a border between the truckers, a protective shield between the truckers and these goon police. I mean, what is that about? Those vets gave their lives to back Canada. And
now they're having to do it again against their own citizens. Doctors, thank you so much for joining us. Godspeed. We'll definitely be in touch. Really shocking stuff that we're documenting here today, not just with our last two guests, but the gaslighting from Biden. They want a war with Russia. And then, of course, the scenes that are continuing to unfold in Ottawa. This is our planet, man. God literally created all of this for us. So much potential, limitless. So many mysteries to be discovered, so much power to be unleashed. And yet we're sitting here squabbling. We're making man-made viruses. We're trying to start wars. We're trying to have lockdowns and tyranny, pitting man against man. This is what we decided to do with this. This is what we decided to do with God's great gift. This is what we decided to do with God's great creation. This is what we want our destiny to be. This is where we want the future to go. This is what we choose. No, I don't think so. I think a very select evil few want this. I think a very select evil few have chosen this. I just tell you, man, I've got a weird sinking feeling about next week. I don't know what's going to happen. I just got a weird sinking feeling that it's one of those weekends like, grab your family tight. Tell your loved ones how you feel. Get right with God. You see, I'm almost numb to it dealing with this all day. But then also I'm like hyper aware and sensitive to it because I know it's real. And I'll tell you, man, most of this planet just has no idea what's in store. And they're starting to get a little picture of it with all this COVID tyranny. You're starting to get a little picture of it with what's going on in Ottawa right now. We've got more videos coming up. I'm inclined, though, to just open up the phone lines to Canadians and just take calls in the entire third hour on your response as Canadians to what's happening in Ottawa today. Or if people want to respond to Biden's, whatever you want to call it today, gaslighting address. Yeah, here's a woman that just got beaten by cops, fellow Canadians trying to help her out. Multiple women here that just got abused by police officers just for standing in the streets. Man, oh man. And here's what it is. We're going to go through some serious pains. And, you know, we're already kind of going through some of that here at InfoWars. I've obviously gone through some stuff. But it's not that it's about us. It's that we're just on the front lines, so we just get hit with this stuff first. And, you know, we'd like to stop it. We'd like it to stop at us. We wish we could just be like a wall stopping it, but no, it just rams right through us to get to you. I mean, I don't even want to talk about, I just can't even get into it. But people just, we just really need to pray for God's intervention. And pray that there is some form of leadership that just tries to stop this madness. I mean, a unification of global leaders that don't like the direction the planet is going in, that don't want to see a one world government tyranny, that don't want to see the one world government medical fascism, that don't want to see mandated medical procedures, that don't like to see the police state thugs in Ottawa. They're now slashing the bounce houses for the kids. What are they going to go burn the playgrounds that were set up to? Maybe they'll go fire bomb one of the music stages, the loving cops. And where's the anti-police left? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. So we'll play some more of these clips. But InfoWarsStore.com, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we're able to be here. And you've kept us on air. You've done it. That's a victory every day. Where we turn on the lights and this microphone goes hot is a victory. Thanks to your support at InfoWarsStore.com. It's BrainForce Ultra. It's back in stock. It's 40% off. Guys, pull it up for me. BrainForce Ultra. Let's read some of these reviews that we have. We get nothing but 5-star reviews for the most part on BrainForce Ultra. Let's check out some of the latest reviews that we have here, guys. It's all right, guys. Scroll on down to the reviews tab. By the way, you can go look at these reviews for yourself. They're on InfoWarsStore.com. Apparently, we're having some problems here with the crew. That's all right. With the reviews page there. Maybe keep going, guys. Oh, no, they're telling me they can't find the reviews. We've never had that problem before. Interesting. Well, I'm sure they'll be back up and running. So, BrainForce Ultra, 40% off. Winter Sun Plus, 50% off. Don't forget about the hats and the shirts and the air filters and the water filters and so much more at InfoWarsStore.com. It's your support there that keeps us on the air. All right, let's look at some of this other footage. But you know what? Here, let me just do this. I'm going to put out the phone number. Canadians that want to call in to discuss what you're seeing in Ottawa today is going to get the preferential treatment, but I'm also willing to take a call responding to whatever it was Joe Biden just did about an hour ago. 877-789-2539, 877-789-2539. We're going to give precedence to Canadians that want to call in about the situation in Ottawa. Also, remember, Pastor Pawlowski, he's now a political prisoner in Calgary. So we're going to give precedence to Canadians that want to call in today, 877-789-2539. Also, maybe pepper in a call about the Biden address or whatever the hell that was. Let's look at some of these other clips that we have. In fact, guys, do we have that live stream that you were showing me? Because there's updated clips here that I just don't have on my video list. Do we have the horses moving around and those women getting beaten? Just what is... Okay, yeah, guys, because I got to give my crew kind of like, because usually I'm just the director here on air, but I don't know all the different video clips, so I'm kind of just giving directive control to my crew right now. Guys, just put some of the latest clips on the screen, and then maybe the live stream, they said they could double box it. Let's see what we got. So, yeah, so here's now the mounted police have showed up in full riot gear, trampling protesters. So, you know, here's the interesting dynamic as guys, just keep rolling the B-roll for me. Just keep rolling the B-roll for me, but pull the audio down. Here's the crazy dynamic about this, and I alluded to this earlier. Our biggest problem is that we're not violent people, myself included. I'm not a violent person. I'm not going to call for violence. I'm not going to pick up a gun. I'm not going to pick up a baseball bat. I'm not going to pick up a a flaming torch. I'm not going to pick up a firebomb. I'm not a violent person. I've been arrested multiple times. I've never been violent with the police. You've seen it. So that's our biggest problem. And for the police, because here's the paradox. If you're in a Democrat left-wing riot mob, you're allowed to burn, you're allowed to loot, you're allowed to kill. You're allowed to attempt a political assassination. I mean, you're allowed all forms of violence. Nothing is off the table. You see a federal building with police inside, burn it on down. You shut down an entire multiple city blocks with blockades and you hand guns out, you're allowed to do that. I mean, burn, riot, loot, steal, murder, all of it. You're a left-wing Democrat, fully legal. Nobody stops you. No police called out to stop you. You're an actual peaceful protester. You are the literal definition of a peaceful protester. You get the brunt force of police. You get abused by police. You get your ass kicked by police. You get arrested. Folks, Democrats are literally bailing attempted murderers out of jail. But yet you wave a flag at your capital in D.C. or Ottawa, and you get arrested. You get the full force of the police. You're a radical left-wing terrorist. You won't get arrested, and if you do, we'll make sure you get bailed out and those charges dropped. How is this even real? How is this even possible? Something has got to give. This cannot go on forever. This will not go on forever. I mean, I've got the clip of the attempted murderer and Democrat activist, and they thought he'd be like the next big Democrat, Quintez Brown. They bailed him out of jail for $100,000. Black Lives Matter raised $100,000 and bailed an attempted murderer out of jail. How many different attempted political assassins do the Democrats have? Quintez Brown, James Hodgkinson, Darrell Brooks. It's really just amazing.
Alex Jones is the greatest.
Dude,
he has been so canceled.
Alex is right about far more than he's wrong.
How much heat have you gotten for being friends with him and having him on the show?
A lot, but I don't pay attention.
Okay. Yeah.
I can justify it. I'll tell you, that f***ing guy is right about a lot of shit.
He's a wild entertainer and a brilliant man.
Isn't he fantastic?
And no one is perfect.
I've known Alex for like more than 20 years. I've hung out with that guy. We've been hammered together so many times. It's like, that is the most misunderstood guy on the planet.
Alex has been right on for over a decade.
Shout out to Alex Jones. We love you.
Alex Jones is a journalist and member of the media. End of story.
Recently, many of the biggest tech companies joined in a coordinated effort to censor content from broadcaster Alex Jones.
There's a reason why the mainstream media calls a guy like him a bomb thrower or a conspiracy theorist, because they're in fear of the truth that he does actually bring out.
Why are the most powerful companies in the world suddenly so threatened by an independent radio show host in Texas that they're willing to lose business in order to make him shut up?
He runs a media organization. And so when the January 6th committee subpoenas him, they are basically violating our First Amendment protections.
The Department of Justice says not only is it investigating what happened inside the Capitol, but the conspirators and instigators who may have started this whole thing.
Now the committee has decided to shut down one of the most popular journalists on the right, Alex Jones. Yes, journalist.
The House committee investigating the deadly assault on the U.S. Capitol is subpoenaing Trump allies Roger Stone and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
The committee says he helped organize the rally ahead of the riots.
Alex Jones isn't simply innocent of inciting crime on January 6th. Alex Jones actively worked to prevent crimes from taking place on January 6th.
Let's start marching into the Capitol! Peacefully! Notice, like Don Jr. said, we're not burning buildings down or shooting cops. We're building America up. We're here to take our rightful country back peacefully.
We're not running interference for Alex Jones, and we're not guessing about it. We happen to know this for a fact.
We need to not have the confrontation with the police. They're going to make that the story.
Alex Jones is a journalist the same as Brian Stelter and Jake Tapper and Don Lemon are.
Absolutely.
Well,
I was about
actually,
to say
don't-
the same thing.
But some people are going to be like, don't insult Alex that way.
Well, yeah, Alex Jones never lied us into a war.
Right.
True.
Alex Jones never bought the Russia hoax, not for a second. And if Jones sat down with Tony Fauci, he would ask him real questions, just as journalists are supposed to do. He wouldn't just slobber all over him.
Epstein, he was way ahead with that. He told me about Epstein a fucking decade ago. Alex detailed all of that.
Alex Jones, InfoWars. The media has tarnished him with all sorts of name-calling, conspiracy theorist, bomb thrower. The one thing that I know about this gentleman, Alex Jones, is that he loves this country. He is as smart as a whip. He absolutely believes in what he believes in, and he also does his research and his homework.
Coolly compare Hotez's views on COVID to, say, Alex Jones's views on COVID, and ask yourself, who's saner? It's not even close.
He's incredibly detailed in his research. He loves this country. He is a patriot, and he's somebody who we better listen to, or others in this country better listen to.
Is it a stretch to say that Tucker Carlson is the new Alex Jones?
There are no vaccine passports. That's insane. It's Alex Jones stuff. And by the way, just so you know, as proof, if you want to get a job, you'll need your vaccine papers.
All right, this is just unbelievable. I've got still so much to cover here, and the latest tweet from Biden, more video out of Ottawa, and I've got phone lines that are lit up, filled with Canadians that want to get on here. And I just have so much to cover. It's just insane. So Biden just put out a tweet, guys, if we could pull that up for me real quick here, saying the entire world is united against Russia. The American people are united. Europe is united. The transatlantic community is united. The entire free world is united. Russia has a choice between war and all that suffering that it will bring, or diplomacy that will make the future safer for everyone. Folks, I'm telling you. The entire free world is united. What free world? The free world of America, where we have political prisoners. The free world of America, where we have medical mandates. The free world of America, with our highest homicide rates in decades, the most dangerous places to live are in the U.S. That free world, the free world of Canada, where peaceful protesters are getting trampled right now. That free world? What free world are you talking about, Joe? I don't see anybody united for war with Russia. And then you go look at the tweet, and everyone's response is like, no, stop lying, stop the war. Why must the U.S. constantly get involved in wars? Oh, the weapons manufacturer's getting rich again. It's just, like, that's what's so amazing about this. Everyone sees through this. Everyone sees through the lies of Joe Biden. Everybody sees through the lies of Western media. And they're still doing it. That's what the craziest thing about this is, when you realize, like, they're going to do this no matter what. So what is it that they want? I mean, do they want a nuclear war? Do they want to invade Russia? Do they want to kill Putin? I mean, what do these people want? What is it that Biden or his puppet masters actually seek to gain? Is it just more money, just a distraction? Because nobody wants this war, man. Nobody in Ukraine, nobody in Russia, nobody in Europe, nobody in America. But boy, Biden sure seems to want it. The American media seems sure to want it. The Democrats seem sure to want it. They really want that war. Oh, we didn't just have a disaster of a pullout in Afghanistan that maybe we should sit back on and reflect and kind of let our military refresh. No, let's go get involved with Russia, who's going to end up in an ally relationship with China. And you really think America, with our weakened military, because of Obama and now Biden, that's more concerned with giving them dildos and making men wear high heels and having sexual reassignment surgeries? You think that's going to do well against Russia and China? This isn't sending in the most well-trained elite warriors into sandcastles in the Middle East. We might have the most elite soldiers at an individual level. We might have some of the most high IQ training and weaponry and everything. This isn't little pockets and sandcastle wars where we can just send in our most elite infantry and pretty much do whatever the hell we want in the Middle East. This is Russia and China. This is China. Believe whatever you want about their missile capabilities. This is China that would send 10,000 men to die and wouldn't even blink an eye. This is Russia that has probably the most serious military in the world at this point. You really want that? You really want... let me tell you something. If Americans end up in a war with Russians, oh, we're just in a bad way. And you know what? The current members of the military that are being asked to be involved in this, and the current people they're flying over there to be the front lines of this, they don't want it. But what are they going to do? Because you know what happens if you stand against Biden? They'll just arrest you. They already arrested that one guy. So it's like, even if you dissent in the military, the oppressive Biden regime's just going to arrest you for that too. Here's the realization. We're all slaves on this planet. Here's the question. How do we break free of our slavery, but take all the technological advancements and infrastructure and everything that we've built with us while escaping this tyranny? Because that's the struggle. The enslavers of this planet run all the infrastructure, run all the industry, and they just assume that you're going to go along with all of it because they control it all, instead of, you know, going out on the land, living off the land, whatever, living in a cave. That's the assumption. So how do we escape our slavery, but take with us everything we've built that we have the rightful heir to? The cities, the industries, all of it. Because that's what the globalists have captured. That's what they're taking from us. That's what they're holding us hostage with. Now, look, I've still got a bunch of news and a bunch of video clips, but I've got a ton of callers on the line that I want to go to here from Canada. And I'll just do a news blitz perhaps in the final segment of this transmission with some of these video clips. But I want to hear from the Canadian people what you think about what's going on in Ottawa today. And then also some people want to weigh in on the Biden press conference and the latest statements. Biden says, my masters want war, so I'm going to say the whole world wants war. Nobody wants war. Except, I guess, Biden's people. I'm really missing out on where the demand for war is here. Except the most radical, brainwashed leftists, I guess, that aren't even liberals anymore. They're just brainwashed zombies. Oh, the media says bark, I'll bark. The media says war, I'll war. The media says mandate, I'll mandate. All of it. So let's get some responses to all of this happening right now. Let's start with Dylan. Dylan in Canada, responding to the situation in Ottawa. Dylan, you're on the InfoWars War Room. Go ahead.
Hey, Owen. Honestly, I'm a little speechless. Like, I knew they were going to start going and getting rid of people, but seeing them actually beat people is really kind of got me down. It's wild, man. Like, the tyranny is fully out for everyone to see now, eh?
Yeah, and I mean, they've got at least 1,000 of these police officers willing to do it. I mean, I guess that's not that shocking of a number, all things considered, but it's like, wow, they really found the 1% of the 1% that want to be tyrants, that want to be Nazis, and they've made them Canadian police officers.
Yeah, it's wild. And seeing people, I don't know what percent of people are actually cheering it on, but seeing the people on Twitter cheering it all on, it's crazy, because I reckon these are the same people that would be like, how did people stand by and let the Holocaust happen? Well, look, we're under full martial law and you're cheering it on now.
Yeah, you're the how. How did the Holocaust happen? You are the one. You're how.
Yeah, it's I normally I have a million things to say. I don't really have a whole lot more to say. I'll let other people get on, but I think people need to support you guys. If you haven't spent money yet with InfoWarsStore.com and you're listening, you guys need to go spend. Yeah, it's all good. Air filter, water filter, supplements, it's all good. Especially if you're Canadian, it costs a little bit more to bring it over the border, but you guys need to support, because your guys' coverage is invaluable. From the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate all you guys.
Well, we want to be here for the Canadians as well, not just. I mean, we want to be here for everybody. That's why the crew comes here every day. That's why we're here every day. That's why Alex is here 7 days a week. So yeah, I mean, it's we're all in this together, man. It's stunning. I understand your speechlessness there. Let's stay in Canada. Let's go to Justin, also weighing in on the situation in Ottawa. Justin, go ahead.
Hey, Owen, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I just I was showing your videos to my mom there earlier, the ones of all you had 3 or 4 clips play in a row, and I was showing my mom them, and she was astonished. She said, "That's disgusting," and she said, "How come I never can find this stuff on the media?" And I said, "Because the media's own 99% of them are paid off by Trudeau. You got to go to InfoWars or you got to go to Rebel News to find this type of stuff. They love hiding it from us because they're all paid off." And they get paid off by Pfizer.
When this all first started, it was a Friday, I guess 3 weeks ago now, probably. And I was hosting the American Journal for Harrison Smith. We did a little switcheroo. And I remember when I was taking calls for Canada that Friday morning, it was overwhelming. This was at the beginning. And I said, because people called in saying the same thing. They said, hey, no coverage of this. They called in, they say, hey, this is literally the only place where I'm finding any coverage of this. What's going on? And I said, hey, don't expect your mainstream media to cover this. And I remember sitting there, I said, good, don't cover it. Give InfoWars all the traction. Give InfoWars all the attention. Give InfoWars all the traffic. Fine, don't cover it. Let it. But it's like, that's not even me like wanting to be the top dog. That's just me saying, okay, they're not going to cover it as usual. We will.
Oh yeah, you guys are always first on everything, man. Same with Alex Jones. He says, like, basically, I watch him. He says, you guys will report on something, and then Fox News a year later will start talking about the border crisis and all that stuff. It's like you guys are always way up ahead of everything. You got to go to InfoWars to get your news.
Well, here's the good news. Mainstream media or corporate media people that aren't captured and haven't sold their souls are starting to catch up with us and are starting to realize that InfoWars is the zeitgeist and on the front lines. It doesn't mean they still won't maybe associate with us or want to try to keep a buffer, and that's whatever. But the point is there's still good people out there that want to get the information out. And that timeline where it used to be InfoWars next year's news today or 10 years, next decade's news today, you'll notice that timeline is shrinking. Now it's like a few weeks, a few months, a few days, and everybody's starting to try to catch up with InfoWars, which is not even, it's just us reporting the truth. It's people just catching up with the truth. Justin, thank you for the call. Let's go to John, another Canadian on the line. John, you are on the InfoWars War Room. Go ahead.
Hi, Owen. I hope you're doing good today.
Thank you.
I'm calling in because I found a video this morning of a woman in Ottawa claiming that the mayor has cut off all truck traffic to the city, essentially cutting off the city to all goods. And I was wondering if anybody on the crew can confirm or deny such things. I do have the video posted on my Getter account, but I haven't been able to find anything else.
That's just a video of a woman making that claim. She's out in the streets?
Yeah, she's not out on the street. She's in an office somewhere. It's an urgent call out to Canadians or something like that. It's on Getter. And she's claiming that the mayor has cut off all truck traffic in or out of the city of Ottawa.
I've not seen anything like that in the news. Doesn't mean it's not out there. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but I've not seen anything like that myself.
Short video on my profile on Getter. That's all I've seen of it so far. It's about a 2-minute video.
If you want my crew to go find that, what's your Getter handle?
It's at SIRJOHNNY.
Sir Johnny.
Yeah.
You
see my big bearded face there.
He's got a big beard. All right, we will see if we can't find some more information on that and maybe pull up that video that you just shared with us on your account. Sir Johnny, thanks for the call. Let's go to Alexander, also in Canada, the Ottawa protest. Alexander, go ahead.
Nice to talk to you again, Owen. All right. I'll try and be as concise as I can. My grandfather and grandmother were born in Czechoslovakia. My grandfather was taken in 1943 to Berlin, where, the 4th of July that Berlin was from 43 to 45. My grandma spent the war out in a field in the middle of nowhere in Eastern Europe. they come home, they meet each other, they get married. But when they got home, they were told, oh, by the way, Czechoslovakia has been turned over to Joseph Stalin. My grandfather died in June, just short of 97. My grandmother's 94, and she's still with us, thank God. How many people do you know that can say they lived under Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin? So anyways, 1968 rolls around, and my beautiful mom and dad, they had the soft revolution in what is now the Czech Republic. And they were at a ballroom dancing competition in Munich. My mom called her mom and dad, my grandparents, and said, sell everything that you can and get out and meet us in Germany, which they did in Western Germany. And they flew to Canada, where I was born, in Calgary, and my brother was.
And now you're living under Tyrant Trudeau.
What is happening here? Wow, what is this lady doing? Trampling horses. Trampling. Stop it. Stop it. Look. Oh my God. They just trampled this lady.
There's more scenes from Ottawa as the police horses are now trampling women and children, running over them, stomping on their heads, and then the police move in and beat your ass if you try to help them. I'm just at a loss, man. I'll tell you, I am just really at a loss here that we're witnessing this. It makes me sick. Makes me sick. We're going to take more calls in response to this. I also want to get calls in response to the Biden press conference. So we'll do that in the next segment. So we've got a couple callers on the line that want to talk about the Biden press conference. So let's do that in the next segment. Let's continue with the Canadian coverage here for now. And let's go back to the lines to Canada, where Barry has dialed in. Barry, you're on the InfoWars War Room. Go ahead.
Yes, it's Barry from Vancouver, British Columbia. Owen, and I am really shocked and abhorred with what's really going on. And as a Canadian, I feel quite ashamed because what Trudeau is doing is really becoming the dictator that he is. I mean, my parents came from China, and my grandfather came from China, and they escaped communism. My mother was actually beaten by the communists because we had property, and they actually made her kneel on broken glass. She was almost ready to commit suicide because of the oppression from the hysteria, the mass hysteria that was going on in China at the time. Now, I can't believe it that there's this mass hysteria going on right now in Canada and actually all over the world because of this crazy COVID-19. And anyways, I am just shocked that, well, I'm not shocked because Trudeau is just, he is the boy who he really is the boy, which is Klaus Schwab's boy. And so this is nothing new. It's going to come. Unfortunately, the protesters and the brave patriots out in Canada and in Ottawa now, they're going to have to face the brunt, and they're going to hold the line. And we're going to show the world that we're not going to back down from this tyranny.
How do you see this going? Because it's obvious that the Ottawa police are just going to smash and grab as many people as they possibly can, but there's tens or hundreds of thousands of people out there. I mean, what do you think they're going to do? What's the end game?
I think it's just tactics right now. When they've obviously cordoned off. There's like 110 checkpoints. They know that this is actually in BC. It's BC Family Day this weekend. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are going to go over there. I don't think they're going to drive there. They're just going because they want to know what's really going on. And actually the government, what they're doing now is preventing other Canadians coming to the capital. And so they're going to what they're going to do is cordon off all these hundreds of thousands of people and just get them out. That's what they're going to do. That's their plan. And actually, with this new emergency act that the government just implemented, which is really the modern form of the War Measures Act. And so with that, they're just basically all our rights right now. We don't have rights right now. They can arrest you without any warrant. They don't even need a warrant. They can put you away just for the way you look. So it's really scary times, Owen. And so that's what's happening. They're just using a bazooka to kill an ant, and they're showing they're really just show it. I think they've got directions from Davos to basically say, better not just show your force. Don't let these guys get away with this, because they think that we are in the minority. But actually, we're not in the minority here. Actually, the people are going to wake up. People are going to wake up. And they're actually also going to go after the financing. So people that are, donate $20 or whatever to the convoy, they might have their accounts frozen. So
they already have. If you donated anything $40 or more after the doxing, they have frozen your bank accounts. Even if you donated 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago before any of it was even illegal, they're freezing your bank accounts. And they are shutting down all entry points into Ottawa. So they're basically starving the people out. You can't get gas, you can't get wood, you can't get food. They're starving them out now and threatening to take their kids and their pets as they break into their vehicles and smash their face with horse hooves.
Yes, that's disgusting. It really is disgusting. And the mainstream media are just as disgusting for not having the guts or the balls to be really true independent journalists and to do what a responsible journalist is supposed to do.
Well,
really,
we never expected that to happen. And Barry, thank you for the call. By the way, if I had a magic wand or like a magic finger and I could just wave it or snap it and change something to just change the Overton window and the optics of all of this, I would do, there would be two ways. There'd be two measurements of this strategy. And it's not going to happen. I mean, I'm pipe dreaming here, but it makes a larger point. I wish I could snap my finger and turn all of the Freedom Convoy Canadian protesters in Ottawa right now. I wish I could snap my finger and turn every single one of them into Black Lives Matter, Antifa-clad protesters. And I'd like to see the police respond then. Because you're allowed to be Antifa and Black Lives Matter and riot. Now, imagine if you saw the same police response to the Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots. Well, the whole world would be outraged. The media would be outraged. The left would be outraged. They'd be up in arms. Look at this tyranny. Look at these fascist police. Kill all the police. But they're silent. So it's like, how do we get them engaged? How do we get them to understand this is against them too, and not just the people waving Canadian flags? Should they put on Black Lives Matter shirts? Should they act like Antifa? Or what if they came out and made a statement saying, we, the Freedom Convoy, are desperate. We're begging for help. Please, Black Lives Matter, come help us. Please, Antifa, come help us. You mastered the protest in the year of 2020, getting away with $2 billion in property damage, dozens of murders, thousands of hospitalizations, the looting, the rioting, the burning, the beating. Please come save us. Come help us. Would the police back down? If it was Black Lives Matter or Antifa in Ottawa, would the police back down? Would the media be covering it? Would the media be outraged? Would they let them smash and grab and burn and riot and murder like we saw in America and across the planet for a whole year in the name of George Floyd? So again, I'm not expecting this to happen. It's just making the larger point of, imagine if the roles were reversed here. Or imagine if the optics were changed here. You never saw police respond like this to any of the riots in the year 2020. Nothing. You never saw anything like this. The police stood down, they backed down, they let the criminals take over. But the actual peaceful protesters, well, you're seeing the police response now. So what does that tell you? And how do we solve this issue? What is going to be done here?
Two life-changing, life-empowering products are now back in stock after being sold out for months at InfoWarsStore.com. Winter Sun is the highest quality organic vitamin D3 taken under the tongue. It also has vitamin K, critical for your immune system, and so much more. It's 50% off, despite the fact it's going to sell out very, very quickly because everybody needs this. Old, young, black, white, it doesn't matter. You need what's in Winter Sun. And then we have Brain Force Ultra, super fast acting, amazing, clean, nootropic system that is a complement to Brain Force Plus and, of course, Turbo Force. All three of these are different formulas, but all three of them take your mind and take your focus and clarity and alertness to the next level. It is 40% off at InfoWarsStore.com for a limited time. Thank you all for your support. If you haven't tried these products, you really need to because they are amazing. InfoWarsStore.com.
Rob Schneider's been a great advocate of freedom throughout this expose of tyranny known as the Great Reset. He shares a picture of the Canadian military being used against the peaceful protesters, and he says it all started with a mask. It was all part of a plan, folks. This was always the COVID plan, was to conquer any free people in the name of a virus. And any people that stood up and said, I will not be conquered in the name of the virus, well, now you're the enemy. You are now the terrorist. You are now enemy number one of the New World Order. Welcome to the club. Now, I want to switch lanes real quick and take callers responding to Joe Biden's gaslighting. Democrats for World War III. I mean, that's the new thing. American media for World War III. Just evil. Such evil we're dealing with. I got to tell you, man, my instincts right now are just run for the hills. We are dealing with such evil. We are dealing with such murderous, psychotic scum that clearly have no inclination to stop with this. They've been totally exposed lying to start World War III with Russia. They don't care. They've been totally exposed lying about COVID and everything else to make you a slave. They don't care. It doesn't matter. And there seems to be no real opposition or leadership of opposition to stand up to these people. And it's just left to we the people, just the average citizen, to just stand in the street. It's all we have left. And soon then we won't even have that. Just look at Ottawa. But I want to switch lanes and take some calls responding to Biden's gaslighting today. So let's start with Rochelle in Colorado. Rochelle, you're on the InfoWars War Room. Go ahead.
Great to be on your show, and I just want to say, sick and tired of Sleepy Joe. Like, obviously, he doesn't care about us Americans. I'm just concerned and worried for my kid's future, and I also just want to say I want to pray over for what's happening out in Canada. I mean, this world is just getting more and more ridiculous, and I just don't know. I'm very speechless. We don't need to be at war. War isn't worth it.
No, it's insane. We're totally being enthralled by tyranny right now, and we're all just speechless that this is the reality. And it's like, what do we do? It's like, man, oh man, I mean, we don't want to fight. We don't want a war, but they're kind of just giving us no choice. And so what do we do?
Exactly. And another thing, I can't stand Biden and all his stupid mandates. Like, I was forced to get the freaking experimental jab in order to be able to work to provide for my two kids. But still, now war, what's going to be next? I mean, are we going to have knocks at our doors? I mean, come on now.
It's just, it's just speechless. You're sitting here staring at an evil, tyrannical world government, and your jaw just hits the floor, and you just see the burning and the crime and the tyranny just forming around you, and you're just like spinning. Your head is like just eyes wide, like, wow, what is going on here? What happened? This is not how it's meant to be. Why are we being conquered by evil? Rochelle, thank you so much for the call. Let's go to Josh in North Carolina, also on the Biden press conference. Josh, you're on the InfoWars War Room. Go ahead.
Brother Owen, what's up, man? I just want to say, man, I appreciate you getting up here every day, man, and giving us the news every day. I listen to you guys every day, and I appreciate you guys coming up here and, hold your emotions in and delivering it, man. I know it gets tough, but yeah, what a joke. This guy, I mean, come on, man. I'm pretty sure the clear consensus amongst social media, I've been checking it ever since this whole thing started. Pretty much everybody agrees that nobody wants this war, but for some reason they just keep shoving it down our throats. I mean, It's not believable at all. And even Biden seemed like he was second guessing himself when the lady was like, "Did you just say that Russia was going to invade?" He was like, yes.
Yeah, like, well, that's what I'm told to say, so.
Yeah, no, it's just a joke, man. I mean, nobody really believes it. I really think, honestly, Putin just needs to come out and hold a press conference and just call everybody out. I mean, I think that's just the only thing that's
But he
needs to
has.
happen.
I mean, that's the thing. Putin has. The media doesn't cover it. Putin has made dozens of statements saying the whole thing is a lie, and it's Western intelligence and Western media that's trying to start this war. He literally has done that. That's the crazy thing about it.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, he doesn't. Nobody wants to cover it, and it's ridiculous. And I just also wanted to say, man, shout out to the Canadian listeners, man. Y'all got to hold the line. This is the front. This is the frontier. Y'all got to hold the line. Stand tall, and don't back down, man, please, because we're watching from America. We're rooting for you guys, and just hang in there, stand tough, and don't let it, don't fall to that madness, man. That's all I got.
Yep. Thank you, Josh. And here's what scares me. They don't have public support for this war with Russia. They don't even have any evidence to support a war with Russia. And that's the scariest part, because in many ways, our Western leaders have gotten lazy because they just figure the people are so stupid and brainwashed, it doesn't even matter. It's like, oh, yeah, we launch a war. We don't give you a reason. There's no reason. We just do it. But I think they're going to realize that strategy is not going to work. So are we going to get another false flag here in America? Then they're going to blame Russia? Is it going to be a cyber attack? I mean, that's what they're signaling. The globalists, the deep state, the Great Reset, the World Economic Forum, or somebody will attack the U.S. infrastructure and blame Russia. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of a new 9/11 type event that will be blamed on Russia to start World War III, because they have no public support or reason or anything for this war. And it'll just be so perfectly convenient. And people aren't going to fall for it. It's still not going to work. But I'm just saying, I mean, they have nothing right now. I mean, the media is in desperation trying to start this war with Russia, and they just have nothing. I mean, even they're probably looking up like, hey, I mean, I don't know how much we can push this war with absolutely no reason or evidence or anything. So, I'm telling you, man, my spidey senses are just like, it's like, just get right with God, get right with your family, and because we are just in the crosshairs, man. I mean, the globalists, the Great Reset, the World Economic Forum, they've clearly shown they're not stopping. Nothing's going to stop them. They're going to run over humanity. They're going to steamroll humanity. They're going to crush freedom. And you're just seeing all of it. I mean, I get it. It's wild. You're in a dystopic nightmare. You're in a worldwide government tyranny. Like, you're in a medical tyranny. You're in a medical fascistic world right now. Like, I get it, man. Believe me, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to do with it. They're here. They're coming for us. They're coming to fucking kill us, man. Oh, how can anybody be on board with this? They're going to get their World War III with Russia. They're going to get their tyranny in Canada. And we're just going to sit here and take it, man. So there you go. Let's go to Manny on the Biden press conference. Manny in Florida, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Owen. This is Manny. I'm just going to let you know that I've already looked at a guy named Inventor Lee Wheelbarger. He's on YouTube. And I watched this morning Russia actually shooting at Ukraine, and there was Ukrainian soldiers, and it was a live feed that the Ukrainian soldier actually got shot and killed, and then his I don't know how they call it over there because I'm not too big on military. My cousin is, and his partner actually picked up the camera and was firing back at the Russians, and then Psaki later said that that Russia has no intentions on trying to invade, and that they're still going on diplomatic, talks with them and stuff like that. Then later, Biden just recently did his little press conference and couldn't even get his story straight from what I'm seeing. And already,
oh yeah, no, that's a good point. They can't even get their story straight. Between Psaki and Biden and Blinken, they all have different stories. And by the way, there have been proxy wars going on between Russia and Ukraine and CIA assets in that region for years. For years, that's been going on. And there's so much confusion because a lot of them are just proxy armies, just rogue CIA groups that just go around and start crap for false flags. So it's just, what a wild time, man. We need serious help on this planet. I've been scenes from Ottawa as it's now dark. And I would suspect, look, this weekend is going to be wild, folks. This weekend is going to be wild. I would suspect more Canadians are going to be heading to Ottawa in response to Trudeau's tyrants and the police thugs that are trampling people with the mounted officers now. Be on the lookout for that, and then be on the lookout for something to happen to give Biden the excuse to start a war with Russia. I'm telling you, we're on the brink of both of it right now. Let me hit some other news here, and if we have time, I'll take another call or two. But there's other news out there. Like, I mean, you know, this is what's so sad is, guys, just go ahead and roll clip 12. I don't need the audio, but it's like, I'm dealing with all these issues, but then you go downtown and then this is what you see is homeless drug addicts having drug-induced seizures right outside of popular restaurants. I mean, literally, like, there's people having dinner 10 feet from this homeless drug addict who's having a drug-induced seizure on the streets, and this is Los Angeles, and this is normal behavior. I mean, we're broken. We are broken as a society. We are broken as a civilization. I mean, that man needs help, and nobody's help. It's like, oh yeah, drug addict dying, having a seizure on the streets. You just let him go. Yeah, you just go have dinner. Just ignore that. Don't worry. He's got his how's the free crack pipes coming? By the way, are those being shipped yet? I've got another teacher. This is what they're doing to your kids, folks. You put your kid in a classroom with a liberal teacher. This is what they're learning in clip 13.
All right, Miko. So this question says, what do your students call you since you're non-binary? Miko's one of my students. What do you call me, Miko?
They, them.
That's my pronouns, but what do you call me as your teacher?
Teacher Roby.
So you know my pronouns are they, them. You know that you go by, or I go by Teacher Roby. What are your pronouns?
She, her.
Very good. And how do you feel about calling me Teacher Roby, and how do you feel about my pronouns being they, them?
I feel good about your pronouns, and I think you should accept yourself and don't listen to the disrespect.
You should definitely accept yourself. Absolutely. I love that for you. And when sometimes if a student messes up my pronouns and says she, her, or calls me Miss Roby, what do I say?
You say she or they.
Right. And then I also will remind you to call me what?
Teacher Roby.
And that's it. Do I ever get upset at you?
No.
Do I ever make you upset or feel unsafe?
No.
Do you feel safe?
Yes.
Very good. All right.
Nice.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
that's not a hostage video at all. Oh, do you feel safe? Nice learning experience there. Wear the mask. Oh, and I love this. Oh, yeah, identify as what you want. Be comfortable in your skin. Okay, I like freedom. I like America. I'm a free person. I don't want to wear a mask. I don't want a vaccine. I want to do myself. Not that! No, don't do that! Anything but that, please! Like, well, you just said be what you want. Have confidence, be what you want. So I just want to be I just want to be a man, and I just want to live in a free country, and I don't want a vaccine or a mask. No, not that! That's not what we meant by freedom and being proud of who you are. No! And then they bring in little kids, and they say, here, sit down. I'm going to indoctrinate you with my liberal ideology. And they say, do you feel threatened? Do you feel safe, right? You're okay, right? We're not threatening you. We're good people, right? All right? I'm just going to stop right there and move on. These are sick people, folks. You shouldn't put your kids with them. Just leave it at that. All right, we played all the mounted police. I got this hilarious VH1 video praising Jeffrey Epstein. I'm just going to upload that right to the War Room Band.video channel because I don't have the time. The U.S. Freedom Convoy USA 2022 has officially been announced. Starts in L.A., ends in Washington, D.C. on March 1st. At least that's what is being reported here. I haven't spoken to these organizers, but we'll be following that story. By the way, they told us in 2019 we had 17 months to live. That was a report that we had 17 months to live. That was in 2019. Well, we survived that. So another miss for the global warming, vax mandates, climate change, tyranny folks. Another loss for you. You just keep losing. I'm not sure you've ever had a win. I've got vaccine injury news here. More people dying, kids dying, athletes dying. People are upset because Kim Potter, who shot Dante Wright and said she meant to hit him with a taser and instead shot him. He ended up dying. They're upset because she only got, I think, 2 years total in jail, prison sentence. How many years did Alec Baldwin get, though? Because it's pretty much the same thing, an accidental shooting. 2 years for Kim Potter. But, you know, the person that Alec Baldwin shot didn't have a criminal record of choking one woman nearly to death and then shooting another person that is now paralyzed for life. That was Dante Wright's criminal history, a violent criminal. And Kim Potter gets 2 years in jail for accidentally shooting him to death. Okay, you could argue, is it fair, is it not? But that's what happened. What about Alec Baldwin? Anything on Baldwin yet? Any jail time? Did Miss Hutchins have a criminal record? Did Miss Hutchins ever shoot anybody? Did Miss Hutchins ever almost choke a woman to death? No, that was who Kim Potter shot. Alec Baldwin. No, that wasn't Miss Hutchins that he shot. But no one complaining about Baldwin getting away with that. Nobody seems to have a problem with that. Funny instance here. There was a Texas Youth Summit. Charlie Kirk was there. He took a picture with all the attendees and didn't make them wear a mask. And then Dan Crenshaw stepped up for a picture with all of them and said, hey, I need all of you to wear a mask for this picture. Nice going, Dan. You're a real jerk. Oh, yeah, and the crew just shows that. Remember the kid that went to high school, the drug dealer that went to high school and shot up his high school that got bailed out? So it's amazing. It's just I'll tell you, man. If you're a liberal Democrat, you can literally attempt murder in this country. And it's like the exact opposite. I mean, you want to point to the racist left always wants to point to skin and go, oh, if you're black, you're going to get arrested for anything. Really? How about that black student that just went and shot up his high school? How about Quintez Brown that just went and tried to assassinate a political candidate? They didn't spend more than a day in jail. I've spent more time in jail than liberal Democrats that attempted to murder people. Do you understand that? I've never hurt anybody in my life, no violent record, and I've spent more time in jail than people that tried to kill people. Because I'm a Christian conservative, they're liberal Democrats. So if you're a liberal Democrat, you're allowed to murder now. But if you're a Christian conservative, you're not even allowed to speak. So yeah, that incident, me literally in the Capitol with tape over my mouth, I spent more time in jail than attempted murderers. You don't think I'm fed up with this shit, man? I can't even live my life. The FBI is coming for your Bitcoin. FBI to form new cryptocurrency unit. You know, I've been holding on to this meme for a while, and it finally now is the time. From Gragnor Comics. It's got a picture here, if you guys want to do a doc cam. It's got a picture of an IRS with like a little garden gnome character. And the IRS man says, all right, it's time to pay your taxes. And the Gragnor, the comic book character, says, no, I stopped using money. I just trade these bottle caps now. The IRS man says, well, those bottle caps don't work. They're worthless. And Gragnor says, good. Then the IRS man gets angry and says, give me those bottle caps. That's the cryptocurrency analogy. Cryptocurrency is worthless. That's not a real thing. Okay, good. Well, give me that now. It's mine. I want it. That's your FBI. That's your IRS. Again, you've got the man swimming as a woman, breaking all the female records. Way to go. That's women's empowerment. MoviePass will track people's eyes through their phone to make sure they see ads. Just admitting now that your phone is spying on you, spying on your facial recognition, your eye movements, your facial emotions, everything. It's your Imperial probe droid. Occupy Democrats is mad. Walgreens is busted making campaign donations to 11 members of the Republican caucus. Oh my gosh. breaking the pledge that it made after Trump's January 6th insurrection, didn't happen, to suspend contributions to Congress members who tried to steal Biden's win, which also didn't happen. So now Occupy Democrats is wanting to boycott Walgreens. Marco Rubio made a joke saying, oh, good, now that Democrats are boycotting Walgreens, we don't have to lock up all the hygiene products that they steal. Ooh. Interesting. And then the media shocked today. Kevin McCarthy doesn't endorse Liz Cheney, instead endorses Harriet Hagman, who's running against her. Well, why would he endorse a Democrat? That wouldn't make sense. So that does it. I got other video clips I didn't get to. We're going to have to hold over to some of those. We'll be back Sunday night. Alex is going to do an emergency broadcast tomorrow. Folks, pray this weekend. Get on your knees and pray. We need God's intervention to save this planet. Tell your loved ones you love them. Get right with God. Get right with your family. Get right with your friends. I got a weird feeling the next 72 hours are about to get wild and could determine the future of this planet. You stay classy, Info Warriors.
You are insane if you are not supplementing vitamin D3 and vitamin K in your life. That's not my opinion. If you look at the facts, you are crazy if you're not taking it at least several times a week, especially if you've got darker skin and aren't getting a bunch of sun. Just look into vitamin D3 and folks that have more melanin in their skin and the fact that that blocks the sun and then your body can't produce it naturally. The best place to get it is naturally from the sun. The second best place is by ingesting it, and the best way to do that is under the tongue into the blood vessels so it goes directly into the blood. And that's how you take Winter Sun, is sublingually under the tongue. Now, this is a high-end, organic, bioavailable vitamin D3. And then on top of it, it has a high-quality vitamin K because the two work in synergy, not just for your immune system, but every major function in the body. And when I forget sometimes to take it for a week, I feel it. I notice it. I religiously now henpeck my dad and call him every couple days and make sure he's taking it. I go over to his house every couple of weeks and check that the bottles are going down. And since he's been doing it for 6 months, it has been miraculous. He looks 10 years younger. Ladies and gentlemen, I am religiously now taking it every morning, a couple drops under the tongue. It's great for children. It's great for adults. It is extremely critical for older people and, again, folks with brown skin. If you've got brown skin or you've got dark brown skin, you better listen to me and research this, because the system isn't telling you why black folks out there are dropping dead in such massive numbers, but we are here talking about it. The number one issue is vitamin D3. You must have it to live. Wherever you get it, get your vitamin D. We have a high quality source back in stock, 50% off, Winter Sun, InfoWarsStore.com.